My sister-in-law drugged me at my own engagement party. But the hospital confirmed it. The champagne tasted wrong. I remember that distinctly now, sitting in the sterile hospital bed at 3:47 a.m., staring at the toxicology report that just shattered my entire world. The metallic aftertaste that made me wrinkle my nose when Maya handed me that crystal flute with her perfectly manicured fingers, and that smile, God, that smile I should have recognized as pure poison. For the beautiful bride-to-be, she'd said, her voice dripping with honey while her eyes held something else entirely. I picked this one especially for you, Sarah. I was so caught up in the magic of the moment, our engagement party in full swing, 80 of our closest family and friends celebrating Jake and me in the gorgeous ballroom we'd booked at the Riverside Manor, that I didn't question why my future sister-in-law was suddenly being so thoughtful. Maya Rodriguez had barely spoken to me in the 3 years Jake and I had been together, unless you count passive-aggressive comments about my quaint little teacher salary or how I was keeping Jake from his potential. But there she was, 26 years old and stunning in that emerald dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, personally delivering champagne and acting like we were long-lost sisters. The red flags were practically slapping me in the face, and I missed every single one. The panic hit me 43 minutes later. I know the exact timing because I was in the middle of my engagement speech, thanking everyone for coming, when my heart suddenly felt like it was trying to burst through my ribcage. The room started spinning. My hands began shaking so violently that I dropped the microphone, and the feedback screech echoed through the ballroom as I gasped for air that wouldn't come. Sarah? Baby, what's wrong? Jake's voice sounded like it was coming from underwater as I gripped his arm, my fingernails digging into his navy suit jacket. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. The faces of our guests blurred together as my vision tunneled, and I was vaguely aware of someone screaming, was that me, before my legs gave out entirely. The next thing I remember is Jake's panicked face hovering over me as paramedics strapped me to a gurney. His dark eyes, the same ones I'd fallen in love with 4 years ago when he bumped into me at that coffee shop on 5th Street, were wide with terror. I'm here, Sarah. I'm right here, he kept repeating as they loaded me into the ambulance. But Maya was there too, standing in the background with Jake's parents, her face the perfect mask of concern. If I hadn't been fighting for consciousness, I might have noticed how her worry didn't quite reach her eyes. How she kept glancing at her watch. How she whispered something to Jake's mother that made the older woman gasp and look at me with what I now realized was suspicion. Has she been under a lot of stress? The ER doctor asked Jake while they hooked me up to monitors and drew what felt like gallons of blood. Any history of panic disorders? Drug use? No, Jake said firmly, holding my hand so tight it almost hurt. Sarah's the most level-headed person I know. She runs marathons, for crying out loud. This isn't her. But now I know exactly what this was. The paper in my trembling hand spells it out in clinical black and white, lorazepam. 4.2 milligrams detected in blood sample. Someone drugged me at my own engagement party. And I know exactly who. The worst part isn't even that Maya drugged me. It's that she almost got away with making everyone think I was having some kind of breakdown. I can see it all so clearly now, lying here in this hospital bed while Jake finally sleeps in the uncomfortable chair beside me. How Maya positioned herself perfectly throughout the evening, always close enough to witness my humiliation but far enough away to avoid suspicion. How she was the first one to suggest to the paramedics that I might have taken something to calm my nerves. Sarah's been so stressed about the wedding planning, I heard her tell Officer Martinez when he came to take the incident report. She mentioned earlier that she was feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes people make poor choices when they're under pressure. Poor choices. Like I'm some kind of unstable bridezilla who'd pop pills at her own party. The truly sick part? It almost worked. Even Jake's mother, Patricia, who usually treats me like the daughter she never had, kept asking the nurses about pre-wedding anxiety and whether this was more common than people think. I could see the doubt creeping into her warm brown eyes, the same doubt Maya had planted there with whatever poison she whispered in the ballroom. But lorazepam doesn't lie. 4.2 milligrams is enough to knock out someone twice my size, according to Dr. Chen, the toxicologist who explained my results. For someone like me, 5 feet 4 inches and 118 pounds, it's a miracle I didn't stop breathing entirely. This wasn't recreational use, Dr. Chen had said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses as he studied my chart. This was a significant dose administered to someone with no tolerance. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Maya would know exactly what she was doing. She's a pharmaceutical sales rep for Morrison Labs, has been for 4 years. She spends her days explaining drug interactions and dosages to doctors across the tri-state area. She probably calculated the exact amount needed to humiliate me without killing me, though I'm starting to wonder if she really cared about that second part. My phone buzzes with another text message. The 37th one since word spread about my episode last night. Jess, *OMG Sarah, are you okay? Mom heard from Mrs. Patterson that you collapsed at your party? Marcus, dude, what happened? Everyone's saying you had some kind of breakdown, Aunt Linda, honey, your mother is worried sick. Please call when you can, And then there's the one that makes my blood run cold, from my future mother-in-law. Patricia, Sarah dear, I hope you're feeling better. We should talk soon about getting you some help. Maya gave me the name of an excellent therapist who specializes in anxiety disorders. Love you, Maya gave her a therapist recommendation. Of course she did. She's already 3 steps ahead, building the narrative that I'm mentally unstable, that last night was just the beginning of a larger breakdown. By the time I get home, she'll have convinced Jake's entire family that I need professional help and that maybe we should postpone the wedding until I'm in a better place. I want to scream. I want to march into Maya's pristine downtown apartment and shove this toxicology report in her perfectly contoured face. But I know that's exactly what she's counting on, for me to act erratically, to seem unhinged, to prove her point that I'm not stable enough to be part of the Rodriguez family. No. Maya Rodriguez has underestimated me for the last time. She wants to play games? Fine. But she's about to learn that this quaint little teacher knows how to do her homework. And Christmas dinner is exactly 23 days away. Jake wakes up at 6:15 a.m. when the nurse comes in to check my vitals, and I can see the exhaustion etched into every line of his face. His usually perfect black hair is sticking up at odd angles, and there's a coffee stain on his white dress shirt from last night that he hasn't even noticed. How are you feeling, baby? He asks, reaching for my hand. His voice is hoarse from hours of talking to doctors, police, and worried family members. Better, I lie, because how do I tell the man I love that his sister tried to destroy me? How do I explain that the family he adores, the tight-knit Rodriguez clan that welcomed me with open arms 3 years ago, has a snake coiled right at its center? Jake, I start carefully, about what happened last night. The doctor said it was lorazepam. His jaw tightens as he says the name. 4 milligrams. Someone put that in your drink, Sarah. Someone at our party drugged you. Relief floods through me. At least he believes the toxicology report. At least he knows I didn't do this to myself. Do you have any idea who could have? I begin, but he cuts me off. I've been thinking about it all night. Going through every conversation, every person who had access to the bar. He runs his hands through his hair, making it stick up even worse. The catering staff all pass their background checks. The bartender has worked at Riverside Manor for 12 years. It has to be someone we know, someone we trust. My heart pounds as I watch him process this betrayal. Jake. I keep thinking about Marcus making those jokes about bachelor parties. Or maybe someone thought it would be funny to slip you something to loosen you up. His voice gets harder with each word. When I find out who did this to you, Sarah, I swear to God. It was Maya. The words tumble out before I can stop them, and the silence that follows feels like a physical weight pressing down on my chest. Jake stares at me like I've just told him the earth is flat. What? Your sister drugged me, Jake. Maya did this. His face goes through a series of emotions, confusion, disbelief, and then something that might be anger, but I can't tell if it's directed at me or the situation. Sarah, that's impossible. Maya would never. She handed me the champagne personally. She said she picked it out especially for me. The memories are crystal clear now, sharpened by rage and hours of replaying every detail. She works for Morrison Labs, Jake. She knows exactly how much lorazepam it would take to. Stop. He drops my hand and stands up abruptly, pacing to the small hospital window. Just stop. You're talking about my sister. Maya might not be your biggest fan, but she would never hurt you. Never. She's been trying to break us up since day one, I press on, desperation creeping into my voice. The comments about my job, the way she excludes me from family events, how she forgets to invite me to things. That's not the same as poisoning someone. Jake's voice is louder now, and a nurse glances in through the door window. He notices and lowers his voice, but his eyes are blazing. Maya was one of the first people to help when you collapsed. She stayed with Mom and Dad, helped coordinate with the paramedics. She told them I had taken something. She planted the idea that I was having a breakdown. Jake is quiet for a long moment, staring out at the parking lot below. When he finally turns back to me, his expression is careful, controlled, the same look he gets when he's trying not to hurt a client's feelings while delivering bad legal news. Sarah, you've been through trauma. Sometimes when we're looking for someone to blame. Don't. My voice is ice. Don't you dare shrink me right now, Jake Rodriguez. But I can see it in his eyes. The doubt that Maya planted is taking root, growing stronger by the minute. She's winning, and she's not even here. Jake's phone rings, shattering the tense silence between us. He glances at the screen and his expression softens in a way that makes my stomach clench. It's Maya, he says, like he's announcing the arrival of a saint. She's been worried sick about you all night. He answers before I can protest. Hey, Em. Yeah, she's awake. No, the doctors say she's going to be fine. What? You found what? I watch his face change as he listens to whatever story his sister is spinning on the other end. His eyebrows furrow, then rise in surprise, and finally settle into something that looks dangerously close to relief. That's, wow. Okay, yeah, bring it to the hospital. We're in room 314. He hangs up and turns to me with an expression I can't quite read. Maya's coming over. She found something in your purse. What do you mean, something in my purse? She didn't want to say over the phone, but apparently she was helping clean up last night and found your clutch under the head table. She said there's something inside that might explain what happened. Ice runs through my veins. Jake, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Whatever Maya is about to show you, whatever story she's about to tell, she planted it. She's setting me up. Sarah, stop. His voice is gentle but firm, the tone you'd use with a confused child. Maya's been nothing but supportive. She even coordinated with the venue's security to get copies of the footage for the police investigation. She coordinated with security? The room feels like it's tilting. Why would she do that? Because she wants to help find out who hurt you. Just like the rest of us. But I know better. Maya's not trying to help, she's controlling the narrative, making sure any evidence that could implicate her disappears or gets explained away. And now she's about to produce some kind of smoking gun that will make it look like I drugged myself. 27 minutes later, Maya arrives looking like she stepped out of a magazine spread titled, Concerned Sister-in-Law. Her makeup is perfectly understated, just enough to enhance her natural beauty while still appearing appropriately worried. She's changed out of last night's emerald dress into designer jeans and a cream cashmere sweater that probably costs more than my car payment. Oh, Sarah, she breathes, rushing to my bedside with tears glistening in her dark eyes. I was so scared. When you collapsed like that, I thought, she breaks off, pressing a manicured hand to her mouth. The performance is flawless. If I didn't know better, I'd believe her myself. Maya found something, Jake says, his voice tight with anticipation. She reaches into her Louis Vuitton bag, because of course she has a Louis Vuitton bag, and pulls out my small black clutch. But there's something wrong with it. The clasp is damaged, like someone forced it open. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I found this under the head table after the ambulance left, and the clasp was already broken. I think it might have happened when you fell. Maya's voice is soft, apologetic. But when I picked it up, something spilled out, and I saw. She trails off, looking at Jake with wide, uncertain eyes. What did you see? He asks gently. Maya reaches into the clutch and pulls out a small prescription bottle. Even from my hospital bed, I can read the label, *lorazepam 2 milligrams, Patricia Rodriguez. Take is needed for anxiety asterisk. Their moms, Jake whispers, staring at the bottle like it might bite him. There are only 3 pills left, Maya says quietly. The bottle was supposed to have 30. Mom just picked up this prescription on Thursday. My mind races, trying to process this new level of betrayal. Not only did Maya drug me, she stole her own mother's anxiety medication to do it, and now she's framing me for theft. Sarah, Jake's voice is barely above a whisper. Tell me you didn't take Mom's pills. I didn't even know your mother had pills, I say, but I can hear how defensive I sound. How guilty. Maya places a gentle hand on Jake's shoulder. I tried to think of any other explanation. Maybe someone else took them, maybe they fell out of Mom's purse somehow. But Sarah's been so stressed about the wedding, and she mentioned to me last week that she'd been having trouble sleeping. I never said that to you, I snap. We barely speak, Maya. When would I have mentioned anything about sleeping? At the bridal shop, she says smoothly. When we were picking up your final alterations. You said you'd been tossing and turning, worried about the seating arrangements. It's a lie. I went to the bridal shop alone. But Jake doesn't know that, and Maya's counting on it. I think, Maya continues, her voice breaking slightly, that maybe Sarah took just 1 or 2 to help with the nerves, not realizing how they might interact with the champagne. It was an accident. A terrible, scary accident, but not intentional. She's brilliant, I have to give her that. This version makes me look sympathetic instead of suicidal, foolish instead of malicious. It explains everything while painting her as the loyal sister-in-law trying to protect my reputation. That's not what happened, I say desperately, looking between Jake and Maya. She's lying. She planted those pills in my purse. But I can see I've already lost. Jake's looking at me with a mixture of disappointment and pity that cuts deeper than any knife. Sarah, he says softly, why didn't you just tell me you were struggling? The way he's looking at me, like I'm fragile, like I'm broken, makes me want to scream until my throat bleeds. But I force myself to stay calm, to think like the teacher I am when dealing with a particularly challenging problem. Jake, I need you to think logically about this, I say, keeping my voice steady. If I had taken your mother's pills, why would I keep the evidence in my purse? Why wouldn't I throw the bottle away? Maya's eyes flicker for just a moment, so quick that Jake misses it, but I catch it. She hadn't thought about that particular hole in her story. People don't always think clearly when they're panicking, she says smoothly, recovering. Maybe you meant to dispose of it but forgot in all the chaos of getting ready. And how exactly did they get into my champagne? Did I sprinkle crushed pills into my own drink at the bar in front of 80 people? You could have dissolved them beforehand, Maya suggests, her tone so gentle and reasonable that it makes my skin crawl. Mixed them into a water bottle, then added it to your champagne when no one was looking. Jake is nodding along like this makes perfect sense, and I realize Maya has thought of everything. Every question I raise, she has an answer for. Every hole I poke in her story, she patches with another lie so smoothly constructed that it sounds more believable than the truth. The security footage, I say suddenly, grabbing onto the one thing she can't control. The venue has cameras everywhere. They'll show exactly what happened. Something shifts in Maya's expression, a tiny tightening around her eyes that's gone so fast I almost miss it. Actually, she says, reaching into her bag again, I spoke with the security manager this morning. Unfortunately, there was a malfunction with the main ballroom camera system last night. Something about a power surge around 8 p.m. that corrupted several hours of footage. My blood turns to ice water. How convenient. These things happen, Maya says with a sympathetic shrug. The manager was mortified. He's offering a full refund for the venue rental. She orchestrated this. Somehow, she made sure the cameras wouldn't capture her spiking my drink. The pharmaceutical sales rep who spends her days in hospitals and medical facilities, who probably knows dozens of people in tech support, who would know exactly how to disable a security system without leaving fingerprints. There might be footage from other angles, Jake says hopefully. The entrance cameras, or... I already checked, Maya interrupts. The entrance cameras only show people coming and going, not what happened inside. And the kitchen cameras don't have a clear view of the head table. She's covered every angle. Every possible piece of evidence that could exonerate me has mysteriously vanished or been explained away. Meanwhile, she's produced physical evidence, the pill bottle in my purse, that makes her version of events look airtight. Sarah, Jake says quietly, sitting back down beside my bed, I'm not angry. I'm worried about you. If you were struggling this much and didn't feel like you could tell me. I am not struggling, I say through gritted teeth. I did not take those pills. I did not drug myself at my own engagement party. Then explain how 27 of Mom's anxiety pills ended up in your system and the bottle ended up in your purse, he challenges, and for the first time since I've known him, Jake's voice has an edge of real anger. Maya places her hand over her heart like she's physically pained by this confrontation. Maybe we should let Sarah rest, she suggests. This has been traumatic for everyone. We don't need to solve everything right now. But I know that once Jake leaves this room believing her story, I'll never convince him otherwise. Maya will spend the next few weeks playing the supportive future sister-in-law, gently suggesting couples therapy and wedding postponements, all while positioning herself as the voice of reason in Jake's ear. Call your mother, I say suddenly. They both stare at me. Call Patricia right now and ask her when she last saw her pill bottle. Ask her if she noticed it was missing. Jake glances at Maya, who nods encouragingly. That's actually a good idea, she says. Mom's been worried sick. She'll want to know Sarah's okay. He dials his mother's number, putting it on speaker. Patricia Rodriguez's warm voice fills the small hospital room after 3 rings. Mijo, how is she? Is Sarah feeling better? She's awake, Mom. Listen, we need to ask you something important. Your lorazepam prescription, when did you last see the bottle? There's a pause. My what, sweetheart? My heart starts pounding. Your anxiety medication, Mrs. Rodriguez. The lorazepam you picked up on Thursday. Oh honey, I don't take lorazepam. I never have. My doctor has me on Xanax for the occasional panic attack, but I haven't needed to fill that prescription in months. The silence in the room is deafening. Maya's face goes completely white. Jake's eyes slowly move from the phone to Maya's pale face, then to the prescription bottle still clutched in her manicured fingers. The silence stretches so long I can hear my own heartbeat through the hospital monitors. Mom, Jake's voice is carefully controlled. Are you absolutely sure? Maya found a bottle with your name on it. Jacob Daniel Rodriguez, I think I know what medications I take, Patricia interrupts, her tone sharpening the way it does when one of her children questions her. I've never been prescribed lorazepam in my life. Dr. Hernandez has me on Xanax, 0.5 milligrams as needed, and I have maybe 6 pills left from a prescription I filled in August. Maya opens her mouth like she's going to say something, then closes it. For the first time since I've known her, she looks genuinely rattled. But Maya has a bottle right here with your name on it, Jake presses, holding up the evidence that was supposed to seal my fate. Patricia Rodriguez, 30 pills, filled Thursday at Westfield Pharmacy. That's impossible. I haven't been to Westfield Pharmacy in over a year. I use the CVS on Maple Street now, you know that, Maya. I switched after they messed up my blood pressure medication last winter. I watch Maya's perfectly composed mask finally start to crack. A thin line of sweat appears above her upper lip despite the hospital's aggressive air conditioning. Maybe it's an old bottle, she suggests weakly. Something that got mixed up in your purse? An old bottle that was supposedly filled 3 days ago? I can't keep the satisfaction out of my voice. With a medication Patricia has never taken? Jake is staring at his sister like he's never seen her before. Maya, how did you know exactly where to find this bottle in Sarah's purse? I told you, things spilled out when I picked it up. Sarah's clutch is tiny, he continues, his lawyer brain finally kicking into gear. There's barely room for lipstick and car keys. How does a full prescription bottle fit inside? It wasn't full, Maya says quickly. There were only 3 pills left, remember? But Mom just said she's never taken lorazepam. So how would there be any pills missing from a bottle that was never hers to begin with? I can actually see the moment Jake's world shifts. His face goes through the same emotions I felt when I first read my toxicology report, confusion, disbelief, and then a cold, terrible understanding. Maya. His voice is deadly quiet. Did you drug my fiancé? That's ridiculous. But her voice wavers for the first time. Why would I do something like that? Sarah's family now. Are you seriously asking me why? The words explode out of me before I can stop them. You've hated me since the moment Jake brought me home. You've spent 3 years trying to convince everyone I'm not good enough for this family. That's not true. You told his cousin Melissa that I was only marrying Jake for his money. You accidentally booked your company Christmas party on the same night as my birthday dinner. You conveniently forgot to mention the family reunion in Colorado until 2 days before, then acted like it was my fault for not being able to get time off work with no notice. Jake's face is getting darker with each revelation. Maya, is that true? She's being dramatic. Answer the question. His voice has the same steel I've heard him use in depositions. Have you been trying to sabotage my relationship with Sarah? Maya's composure finally shatters completely. Tears start streaming down her face, but instead of making her look vulnerable, they make her look desperate. You don't understand what it's like, she whispers. Watching everyone else get their happy ending while you get nothing. Sarah has everything, the perfect job, the perfect guy, the perfect little life. She doesn't even appreciate what she has. So you decided to destroy it? Jake's voice is barely controlled fury. I just wanted her to show her true colors. To prove she wasn't as stable as everyone thinks. But I never meant for it to go this far. And there it is. The confession I needed, delivered with Patricia Rodriguez still listening on speakerphone. The confession hangs in the air like smoke, but Maya's not done digging her own grave. It was just supposed to make her drowsy, she continues, the words tumbling out now that the dam has broken. Maybe a little dizzy, enough that people would think she couldn't handle the pressure. I calculated the dosage perfectly, 1.5 milligrams mixed into the champagne should have just made her sleepy and emotional. But I tested positive for 4.2 milligrams, I say, my voice deadly calm. Maya's face goes ashen. That's impossible. I only crushed up 3 half-milligram tablets. I measured everything precisely. Jake's phone is still on speaker, and I can hear Patricia's sharp intake of breath through the line. Maya Elena Rodriguez, his mother's voice cuts through the room like a blade. What have you done? Mom, I can explain. Explain? You poisoned an innocent girl. You stole prescription medication. You let us think Sarah was having a mental breakdown. But something Maya said is bothering me. If she only gave me 1.5 milligrams, where did the extra 2.7 milligrams come from? That's not a small miscalculation, that's the difference between embarrassment and hospitalization. Maya, I say slowly, what strength were the tablets you crushed up? She wipes her nose with the back of her hand, smearing her perfect makeup. Half-milligram tablets. I took them from a sample pack at work. I'm not a monster, Sarah, I wasn't trying to kill you. But the prescription bottle you planted in my purse says 2 milligrams per tablet, Jake observes, his lawyer instincts sharp even in crisis. Maya's eyes dart between us. I needed a believable bottle. I couldn't exactly leave the Morrison Labs sample packet for evidence. So you forged a prescription, I realize. You created a fake bottle with your mother's name to frame me. It was supposed to be simple, Maya's voice is getting higher, more desperate. You get sleepy during your speech, maybe slow your words a little. People would think you were just overwhelmed or maybe had too much to drink. But then you started hyperventilating and collapsed, and everyone was calling ambulances. Because someone else drugged me too, I finish, the pieces clicking into place with horrible clarity. The room goes silent except for the steady beep of my heart monitor. What? Jake and Maya say simultaneously. Maya, you gave me 1.5 milligrams from your work samples. But I tested positive for 4.2. That means someone else spiked my drink with an additional 2.7 milligrams. That's impossible, Maya stammers. I watched you the whole night. No one else had access to your champagne. But even as she says it, I can see the fear creeping into her eyes. The same fear that's making my stomach clench with a new kind of dread. Maya, Patricia's voice comes through the phone, tight with a mother's growing panic. Where exactly did you get the pills for that fake prescription bottle? The ones in Sarah's purse? I found them in your medicine cabinet when I was house sitting last weekend. They were in an old prescription bottle from Dr. Martinez, before you switched doctors. I thought they were just leftover anxiety medication. Maya, Dr. Martinez prescribed those for your father's sleep study in 2019. They're not 2 milligram tablets, they're 5 milligram tablets. And they're not lorazepam. The blood drains from Maya's face. What? There's alpedum. Ambien. Sleeping pills. Jake grabs the prescription bottle and squints at the label. Jesus Christ, Maya. This says lorazepam, but if these are actually Ambien, I would have had both drugs in my system, I whisper, understanding flooding through me with sick certainty. 1.5 milligrams of lorazepam from what you put in my champagne, plus however much Ambien was on the pills that spilled out of this bottle when I collapsed. Maya is shaking her head frantically. No, no, no. The bottle was closed tight. I made sure. My purse burst open when I hit the floor, I remember suddenly. The clasp broke, everything scattered. You said so yourself. Oh my God, Jake breathes. Maya, you didn't just drug Sarah. You accidentally poisoned her. The silence stretches for what feels like hours. Maya is hyperventilating now, her perfectly manicured hands clutching at her chest as the full weight of what she's done crashes down on her. I could have died, I say quietly, and my voice sounds strange even to my own ears. Maya, you could have killed me. I didn't know, she whispers, mascara streaming down her cheeks in black rivers. Sarah, I swear I didn't know what those pills were. I just grabbed the first bottle I saw that looked official enough to frame me with, Jake finishes, his voice harder than I've ever heard it. Maya, do you understand what you've done? Do you have any idea what could have happened if Sarah had taken even one more sip of that champagne? Patricia's voice cuts through the speaker, sharp with maternal fury. Jacob, you call the police right now. Maya needs to be arrested before she can destroy any more evidence. Mom, please, Maya starts. Don't you mom please me, young lady. You could have murdered that sweet girl. And for what? Because you're jealous? Because you can't stand to see your brother happy? It's not about Jake being happy, Maya suddenly shouts, her composure completely shattered. It's about him choosing her over family. Over me. The raw desperation in her voice makes my skin crawl. This isn't just sibling rivalry, this is something much darker, much more twisted than I ever imagined. Maya, Jake's voice is carefully controlled. What do you mean, choosing Sarah over you? We used to tell each other everything, she says, tears flowing freely now. You were my best friend, Jacob. My protector. When Dad lost his job, when Mom had her cancer scare, when Brian broke our engagement, you were always there for me first. I watched Jake's face cycle through confusion, realization, and then disgust. Maya, that's what brothers do. That doesn't mean. Then she showed up, Maya's voice turns venomous as her eyes lock onto mine. Sweet little Sarah with her cute sundresses and her charity 5K runs. Suddenly every family dinner became about her students, every holiday was planned around her teaching schedule. You moved in with her instead of helping me find a new apartment after Brian left. That was 3 years ago, Jake says incredulously. Maya, you need professional help. I had professional help, she screams. Dr. Reeves said I was making progress, that I was learning to cope with the changes in family dynamics. But then you proposed to her, and I knew I was going to lose you forever. My heart is pounding as pieces click into place. The wedding planning, I realize aloud. Every time I tried to include you, you found ways to make it about yourself. The dress shopping where you had that panic attack and Jake had to leave work to drive you home. The cake tasting where you suddenly remembered it was the anniversary of Brian's proposal and needed Jake to comfort you. Those were real panic attacks, Maya insists, but her voice wavers. No, Jake says slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. No, Maya. You've been manipulating situations for months, haven't you? The family barbecue where you accidentally invited Brian so Sarah would feel uncomfortable. The surprise birthday party for Dad that you scheduled during Sarah's school board presentation. She shouldn't have been a priority over family obligations, Maya says, but there's no conviction left in her voice. She is family, Jake roars, making both Maya and me jump. Where's she supposed to be, if you hadn't tried to poison her at our engagement party? Patricia's voice comes through the phone again, this time with a tone I've never heard before, cold, authoritative, final. Maya, you have exactly 10 minutes to turn yourself into the police before I call them myself. And don't even think about coming to my house to collect your things. Jake, change the locks today. The ultimate rejection from the woman who raised her seems to break something fundamental in Maya. She crumbles forward, sobbing with the desperate intensity of someone whose world has just completely collapsed. Please, she whispers. I can't go to jail. I'll lose my job, my certification, everything. You should have thought of that, I say, surprised by how steady my voice sounds, before you decided to destroy my life. The next hour passes in a blur of police sirens, Miranda writes, and Maya's increasingly desperate attempts to minimize what she's done. Detective Morrison arrives first, a stern woman in her 50s who takes one look at the prescription bottle, my toxicology report, and Maya's tear-streaked confession, and immediately calls for backup. Ms. Rodriguez, you're under arrest for aggravated assault, possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute, and falsification of prescription records, Detective Morrison announces, pulling out her handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. Maya's legs give out completely when the metal clicks around her wrists. Jake, please, she begs as they help her to her feet. Don't let them do this. I'm your sister. I'm family. But Jake won't even look at her. He's standing by the window again, his shoulders rigid with barely contained rage. You stopped being my family the moment you put those pills in Sarah's drink, he says without turning around. As they lead Maya away, she looks back at me with an expression that makes my blood freeze. It's not remorse or apology, it's pure, concentrated hatred. Even caught red-handed, even facing felony charges, she still sees me as the villain in her twisted narrative. This isn't over, Sarah, she calls out just before they push her into the elevator. You think you've won, but you have no idea what you've cost me. What you've cost this family. The words echo in my mind long after she's gone, and I can't shake the feeling that Maya's arrest is just the beginning of something much worse. Patricia arrives 45 minutes later, still in her pajamas and slippers, her usually perfect silver hair wild from sleep. She takes one look at me in my hospital bed and bursts into tears. Mija, I am so sorry, she sobs, pulling me into a fierce hug that smells like vanilla and fabric softener. I should have seen what Maya was becoming. The signs were all there, but I made excuses because she's my daughter. Mrs. Rodriguez, this isn't your fault. It is, though. She pulls back to look at me, her warm brown eyes red with guilt and exhaustion. Maya's been in therapy since Brian broke their engagement 2 years ago. Dr. Reeves warned us she was developing an unhealthy attachment to Jake, but I thought it was just normal sibling closeness during a difficult time. Jake finally turns from the window. Mom, what do you mean unhealthy attachment? Patricia sighs heavily, suddenly looking every one of her 62 years. Dr. Reeves said Maya was struggling with abandonment issues. First, her father's job loss made her feel financially insecure, then my cancer diagnosis triggered fears about losing family members. When Brian left her at the altar, it apparently cemented this belief that everyone she loves will eventually abandon her. But that doesn't explain why she targeted me specifically, I point out. Because you represent her worst fear, Patricia explains sadly. In Maya's mind, if Jake gets married and starts his own family, she loses her primary support system. Dr. Reeves called it pathological sibling dependency. Maya never learned how to form healthy adult relationships because she relied too heavily on Jake for emotional support. My phone buzzes with a text message, interrupting the heavy conversation. It's from a number I don't recognize. Asterisk, check your email. A concerned friend, asterisk. I frown, opening my email app. There's one new message with no subject line and an attachment. When I click on it, my heart nearly stops. It's security footage from the Riverside Manor. Crystal clear video of Maya standing at the bar, crushing pills with the handle of a butter knife, and stirring the powder into a champagne flute. The timestamp shows 8:23 p.m., exactly 15 minutes before she handed me that drink. Jake, I whisper, showing him the screen. Look at this. His face hardens as he watches his sister methodically drug my champagne. But Maya said the security system was down. She said there was no footage. That's when I noticed the second attachment, a screenshot of an email from Maya's work account to someone named tech_support_Dave. The message, sent at 7:45 p.m. yesterday, reads, asterisk Dave, need that favor we discussed. Kill the main ballroom feed at Riverside from 8 to 10 p.m. tonight. Equipment malfunction. Will owe you big time. M asterisk. She had someone disable the primary cameras, I realize. But she forgot about the backup system. My phone rings. Unknown number. Hello? Ms. Chen? This is Dave Kowalski from AV Tech Solutions. I handle security systems for several venues in the area, including Riverside Manor. The man's voice is nervous, shaky. I just heard about what happened to you last night, and I need to come clean about something. The man's voice trembles through the phone speaker as Jake and Patricia lean in to listen. Ms. Chen, my name is Dave Kowalski. I manage security installations for Riverside Manor and 12 other venues in the tri-state area. You're the one who disabled the cameras, I say, my stomach dropping. Maya Rodriguez contacted me 3 weeks ago through my company's website. She said she was planning a surprise proposal for her brother's engagement party and needed to coordinate with security to make sure the cameras captured the perfect angles. Dave's voice cracks. She seems so sweet, so excited about making it special for you both. Jake's hands clench into fists. 3 weeks ago? This wasn't some impulsive decision, she planned this for almost a month. She paid me $500 cash to create a 15-minute window where the main ballroom cameras would go offline, Dave continues. Said she wanted to surprise you during your speech without security footage spoiling the moment before she could edit it into a proper video. Patricia covers her mouth with her hand. Dios mío. Maya withdrew $600 from her savings account last month. She told me it was for your engagement gift. But you just sent us backup footage, I point out, my mind racing to understand the timeline. That's why I'm calling. After Maya contacted me, I felt weird about the whole thing. Something seemed off about disabling security cameras for a surprise proposal. So I set up a secondary recording system, a backup camera hidden in the decorative flowers near the bar. Maya didn't know about it. Why are you telling us this now? Jake asks. Because I just saw the news report about a woman being hospitalized after collapsing at her engagement party at Riverside Manor. When I realized you were the couple Maya was talking about, and that she wasn't planning a surprise proposal but something much worse. Dave's voice breaks completely. I became an accessory to assault. I could lose my business, my license, everything. I think about Maya's face when the police led her away, that cold, calculating expression that promised this wasn't over. Dave, has Maya contacted you since last night? That's the other reason I'm calling. She texted me at 4:30 a.m. this morning from the police station. I hear rustling paper through the phone. She said, and I quote, delete everything. Sarah's going to try to blame me, but I have proof she's unstable. Stick to the story and I'll double your payment. She was trying to get you to destroy evidence, Jake says incredulously. Even after being arrested. There's more, Dave continues. Maya gave me a USB drive 3 weeks ago. She said it contained photos for the surprise video, but I never looked at it. After her text this morning, I got curious. My heart pounds. What was on it? Screenshots of what looks like your social media accounts, but they've been doctored. Posts made to look like you were complaining about wedding stress, about feeling overwhelmed by Jake's family, even some that make it seem like you were researching anxiety medications online. Patricia gasps. She was creating fake evidence to support her story. The metadata shows these images were created over the past 6 weeks, Dave adds. She's been planning to frame you for a mental breakdown since early November. I feel sick thinking about how thorough Maya's plan was. If Dave hadn't installed that backup camera, if Patricia hadn't caught the medication discrepancy, Maya's fabricated evidence might have been enough to convince everyone I had drugged myself. Mr. Kowalski, Jake says, his voice steady despite the fury in his eyes, we need you to turn that USB drive over to Detective Morrison immediately. And Dave? Thank you for doing the right thing. After he hangs up, the three of us sit in stunned silence. The scope of Maya's premeditation is staggering. She didn't just drug me in a moment of jealous rage. She spent over a month crafting an elaborate plan to destroy my reputation and relationship with surgical precision. Christmas dinner is in 18 days, I say quietly, the words slipping out before I can stop them. Sarah, Jake starts, but I shake my head. Maya said this wasn't over. She's facing felony charges, but that won't stop her from trying to convince your extended family that I somehow orchestrated all of this. I look between Jake and Patricia. You know she'll find a way to reach them from jail, to plant seeds of doubt about my version of events. Patricia's face hardens with a determination I've never seen before. Then we make sure the whole family knows exactly what Maya did before she gets the chance to spin another lie. 3 days after Maya's arrest, the phone calls start. First it's Jake's cousin Miguel, calling from Phoenix with barely contained excitement. Dude, is it true Maya got arrested? My mom heard from Tia Rosa, who heard from someone at church that there was drama at your engagement party. Then Jake's uncle Carlos calls, followed by his cousin Elena, then his grandmother's neighbor who somehow got our number. Each conversation follows the same pattern, concerned family members who've heard fragments of the story through the Rodriguez family gossip network, all trying to piece together what really happened. We need to control this narrative, I tell Jake as he hangs up from the 7th call of the day. Maya's version is already spreading. Jake runs his hands through his hair, exhaustion etched in every line of his face. Mom's calling an emergency family meeting for this weekend. Everyone who can make it will be there, aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole clan. My stomach clenches. The Rodriguez family gatherings are legendary, 30+ people crammed into Patricia's house, multiple conversations happening in rapid-fire Spanish and English, kids running everywhere while the adults dissect every piece of family drama with surgical precision. What if they don't believe us? I whisper. Maya's had years to build relationships with these people. Some of them barely know me. Then we show them the evidence, Jake says firmly. The security footage, Dave's testimony, the toxicology report. Facts don't lie, even if Maya does. But I know it's not that simple. Maya isn't just Jake's sister, she's the family favorite. The successful pharmaceutical rep with the designer clothes and the charming smile. The one who remembers everyone's birthdays and brings expensive gifts to every gathering. The one who helped Jake's cousin Sophia study for her nursing boards and who organized the surprise party for his grandmother's 80th birthday. I'm the newcomer. The girlfriend turned fiancé who doesn't speak Spanish fluently and who still feels awkward during their rapid-fire family conversations. Some of them might believe Maya's version, that I'm an unstable outsider who drugged myself for attention and is now trying to destroy their beloved Maya to cover my tracks. The worst part is, Maya knows exactly which family members are most likely to doubt me. Jake's Aunt Carmen has never warmed up to me, still comparing me unfavorably to his ex-girlfriend Rebecca, who was Latina and spoke perfect Spanish. His cousin Diego makes jokes about gringo girls whenever he thinks I'm not listening. His uncle Roberto still asks Jake when he's going to settle down with a nice Mexican girl and give his mother grandchildren. Maya has 3 years' worth of carefully planted comments to draw on. Every time I declined an invitation due to work obligations, every cultural reference I didn't understand, every moment of awkwardness she witnessed, it all becomes ammunition now. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, asterisk heard about the arrest. Maya always said you were trouble. Some of us know the real story, asterisk. I show Jake, and his face darkens. That's Diego's number. How the hell does he already know Maya's side? She called someone from jail, I realize. She gets one phone call, and instead of calling a lawyer, she called a family member to start spreading her version of events. Jake immediately dials his mother. Mom, who did Maya call from jail? We need to know what she told them. Patricia's voice is tight with anger when she answers. She called your tia Carmen. Collect call at 6 this morning. Carmen says Maya was crying, claiming you and Sarah conspired to frame her because she knew too much about Sarah's drug problem. Drug problem? I nearly shout. I don't have a drug problem. Carmen asked what she meant, and Maya said she'd caught you taking pills from my medicine cabinet weeks ago but didn't want to tell Jake because she was trying to protect the family. The brilliance of Maya's lie makes me want to scream. She's twisted the truth just enough to make herself look like the loyal sister who was trying to handle my supposed addiction quietly, until I forced her hand by overdosing publicly and then blaming her to cover my tracks. Is Carmen believing this? Jake asks. Carmen's telling everyone who'll listen that Maya is being railroaded by a manipulative gringa who has you wrapped around her finger. And just like that, Maya has successfully divided the Rodriguez family into camps, those who believe the evidence and those who believe their sweet Maya could never hurt anyone. The family meeting is scheduled for Saturday afternoon, but the battle lines are already drawn by Friday night. Jake's phone doesn't stop ringing, relatives calling to share what they've heard, to ask if the rumors are true, to pick sides before they even know what happened. Elena believes us, Jake reports after hanging up with his cousin in Dallas. She said Maya's story doesn't make sense because you've never even taken aspirin around her. But for every ally, there seems to be another family member who's buying Maya's version. His cousin Raphael texted, asterisk Maya's been worried about Sarah for months. Said she seemed stressed and secretive. Maybe jail's making her desperate enough to finally tell the truth, asterisk. The fake social media posts Dave found are working exactly as Maya intended. Someone, probably Carmen, is sharing screenshots of the doctored images that make me look like I was spiraling into anxiety and desperation weeks before the engagement party. Posts I never made about feeling trapped by wedding planning, about not knowing if I'm making the right choice, about researching natural sleep aids online. Look at this one, I tell Jake, showing him a screenshot that's making the rounds. It's supposedly from my Instagram story 3 weeks ago, asterisk can't sleep again. Jake's family expectations are overwhelming. Maybe I need something stronger than chamomile tea, asterisk. That's not even how you write, Jake says angrily. You never use maybe to start sentences, and you hate chamomile tea. But the people sharing these images don't know my writing style or my beverage preferences. They just see what looks like evidence that I was struggling with anxiety and considering medication solutions, exactly what Maya needs to support her story. Patricia arrives at our apartment Friday evening with a stack of printed emails and a grim expression. I've been forwarding the security footage to everyone, but Carmen's telling people the video could be doctored. She's saying Maya was probably just stirring sugar into champagne to make a toast special. Sugar doesn't require crushing pills with a butter knife, I point out. I know that, Mija. But Carmen's convinced that Maya's being framed, and she's got Roberto and Sophia believing it too. They're saying the timing is suspicious. Why would Maya drug you and then plant evidence in your purse? It seems too obvious. That's the problem with Maya's plan. It was so elaborate that some parts actually seem too calculated to believe, while others are just plausible enough to explain away. She's created reasonable doubt by making her actions seem simultaneously too smart and too sloppy to be real. What about Diego? Jake asks. He sent Sarah that threatening text. Patricia's face darkens. Diego's the worst. He's telling everyone this is what happens when you bring outsiders into the family. Says Maya tried to warn us that Sarah wasn't who she seemed, but we didn't listen because we were being politically correct. The racist undertones aren't surprising, but they still sting. Diego has never made any secret of his belief that Jake should marry within their culture. Now he gets to frame Maya's actions as justified vigilance against a deceptive outsider. How many people are coming tomorrow? I ask, dreading the answer. 23 confirmed, Patricia says quietly. Including Father Martinez, who baptized both you and Maya, Jacob. And your grandmother specifically asked that both sides get to present their evidence before any decisions are made about Christmas dinner invitations. My heart sinks. This isn't just about clearing my name anymore, it's about whether I'll be welcome at future family gatherings, whether Jake and I can move forward with our wedding plans, whether Maya's poison has permanently damaged my place in this family. Abuela wants to treat this like a trial, Jake says grimly. With Maya in jail, Carmen's volunteering to present her defense. And Carmen has 3 decades of experience as a family court mediator. She knows exactly how to present evidence, how to create doubt, how to make a guilty person look innocent. Tomorrow isn't just a family meeting, it's going to be the fight of my life. Saturday morning arrives gray and cold, matching my mood perfectly. I've been awake since 4 a.m., rehearsing what I'll say to Jake's family, trying to anticipate every argument Carmen might make in Maya's defense. You don't have to do this, Jake says for the 10th time as we drive to his mother's house. I can handle my family. If I don't face them now, Maya wins, I reply, watching familiar neighborhoods blur past through the passenger window. She's counting on me being too intimidated to defend myself. But my hands are shaking as we pull into Patricia's driveway behind a line of cars I recognize from previous family gatherings. Miguel's red pickup truck. Carmen's pristine white Mercedes. Diego's motorcycle with a custom flame paint job. They're all here, ready to judge me based on evidence and lies Maya spent weeks preparing. Inside, the living room has been rearranged like a courtroom. Patricia's dining table sits at the front, where Carmen has spread out printed photos, legal documents, and what looks like a timeline written in her precise handwriting. Folding chairs borrowed from the church create 2 distinct sections, one side for Maya's supporters, one for ours. The division is immediately obvious. Carmen, Diego, Roberto, and Sofia sit together on the left, their faces set in identical expressions of skeptical disapproval. Elena, Miguel, Jake's grandmother Esperanza, and Father Martinez occupy the right side, looking more open but cautious. The remaining family members cluster in the middle, literally undecided. Thank you all for coming, Patricia begins, her voice carrying the authority of the family matriarch. We're here because serious accusations have been made against Maya, and before we decide how to move forward as a family, everyone needs to hear the complete truth. Carmen stands immediately, her silver hair pulled back severely and her reading glasses perched on her nose. With respect, Patricia, we're here because Maya's been falsely accused by someone who doesn't understand our family dynamics. I've reviewed the so-called evidence, and there are significant questions about Sarah's version of events. My stomach clenches, but Jake squeezes my hand encouragingly. First, Carmen continues, pulling out a printed screenshot. Sarah's own social media posts show she was struggling with anxiety for weeks before the engagement party. Here she admits to researching sleep medications online. Those posts are fake, I say, standing up despite my racing heart. Maya created them using. Convenient excuse, Diego interrupts from his seat. Everyone knows you can claim digital evidence is doctored. Carmen, show them the pharmacy records. Carmen produces another document with a flourish. Maya's employment records show she hasn't had access to lorazepam samples since Morrison Labs changed their anxiety medication protocols 6 months ago. She couldn't have obtained the drugs found in Sarah's system through her job. I feel the room shift slightly as murmurs ripple through the undecided family members. This is new information, something Maya must have shared during her jail phone call that we didn't know to counter. But what about the security footage? Elena challenges. We all saw Maya crushing pills into that champagne. The footage shows Maya adding something to a drink, Carmen corrects smoothly. But there's no audio, no clear view of what she was adding. Maya told me she was crushing breath mints to surprise Sarah with champagne that would taste like her favorite candy. Breath mints, Jake says incredulously. You seriously believe Maya was crushing breath mints with a butter knife? It makes more sense than believing she spent weeks planning to poison someone at a venue with security cameras. Roberto speaks up for the first time. Maya's impulsive, emotional, but she's not a criminal mastermind. Father Martinez clears his throat gently. Perhaps we should hear from Sarah directly. She was the victim of whatever happened that night. All eyes turn to me, and I realize this moment will define my future with Jake's family forever. I stand up slowly, my legs trembling despite my determination to appear strong. 23 pairs of eyes watch my every movement, and I can practically feel Carmen calculating how to dismantle whatever I'm about to say. 3 weeks ago, Maya asked me to meet her for coffee. I begin, my voice steadier than I expected. She said she wanted to plan something special for the engagement party, a sister-to-sister surprise for Jake. Carmen's eyebrows raise skeptically, but I continue before she can interrupt. She asked detailed questions about my daily routine. What time I took my vitamins, whether I ever had trouble sleeping, if I'd ever taken anything for anxiety. I thought she was being thoughtful, trying to understand what might help me relax before the big speech. That sounds like Maya being considerate, Sofia interjects. She always pays attention to people's needs. She also asked about my purse, I add, watching Carmen's confident expression flicker slightly. She wanted to know if I'd be carrying the same black clutch I used at Jake's birthday dinner, because she was coordinating with the photographer about detail shots. Jake's grandmother Esperanza leans forward in her chair. Poor Kay, would the photographer need to know about your purse, Mija? Because Maya needed to know exactly how much space she'd have to plant evidence, Jake answers grimly. Sarah's clutch barely fits her phone and keys. There's no way a prescription bottle would fit unless it was placed there after she collapsed. Maya could have given Sarah the bottle weeks earlier, Diego argues. Maybe Sarah forgot it was in there. With pills missing that supposedly belonged to Patricia, but that Patricia has never been prescribed? Elena challenges. Diego, think logically about this. Carmen shuffles through her papers and produces another document. Actually, Patricia did have a lorazepam prescription. From 2018, after her cancer surgery. The bottle Maya found could have been left over from that. My heart sinks as I see several family members nodding. Carmen has done her homework, finding just enough truth to make Maya's lies believable. But then Patricia stands up, her face flushed with anger. Carmen Elena Vasquez, how dare you suggest I'm lying about my own medical history? I have never, in my entire life, been prescribed lorazepam. Dr. Martinez gave me Xanax after surgery, and I have the medical records to prove it. Medical records can be. Basta. Esperanza's voice cuts through Carmen's protest like a blade. At 86 years old, Jake's grandmother commands absolute respect when she speaks. Carmen, you are calling Patricia a liar to defend Maya's actions. This is not the way. The room goes silent. Abuela's disapproval carries more weight than any evidence we could present. There's something else, I say, pulling out my phone with shaking hands. Yesterday I received this. I read aloud the text message from the unknown number. Asterisk Maya always said you were trouble. Some of us know the real story asterisk. That came from Diego's phone, Jake announces, his voice hard as steel. My cousin has been threatening my fiancé based on lies Maya told from jail. Diego's face flushes red. I wasn't threatening anyone. I was just. Just what? Father Martinez asks quietly. Just intimidating a young woman who was poisoned at her own celebration? The priest's gentle rebuke hits harder than any accusation. Diego slumps back in his chair, suddenly looking ashamed. Maya called me crying, he mumbles. She said Sarah had been acting strange for weeks, that she was worried something like this would happen. And you believed her without question, Miguel says disgustedly. Even after seeing the security footage of Maya crushing pills into Sarah's drink. Carmen straightens her papers, sensing her defense crumbling. Even if Maya made an error in judgment, that doesn't mean. Her words are cut off by the sharp ring of Patricia's landline phone. Patricia hesitates for a moment before answering, putting the call on speaker as she always does during family gatherings. The voice that fills the room makes everyone freeze. Mrs. Rodriguez? This is Officer Janet Kim from County Jail. I'm calling because Maya Rodriguez has requested to make a statement about the charges against her. She says she needs to speak to her family urgently. Carmen's face lights up with vindication. You see? Maya wants to tell you the truth herself. Actually, Officer Kim continues, her professional tone carrying an edge, Ms. Rodriguez wants to confess to additional crimes. She's admitted to insurance fraud, identity theft, and stalking. Apparently your daughter-in-law's hospitalization has made her realize she needs to come clean about everything. The silence in the room is deafening. I'm sorry, what? Patricia's voice barely whispers. Maya has confessed to creating fake social media accounts using Sarah Chen's identity over the past 2 months. She also admits to filing fraudulent insurance claims using Patricia Rodriguez's information to obtain prescription medications. And she's provided detailed documentation of how she's been surveilling Sarah's daily routine since October. Carmen's stack of evidence suddenly looks pathetic scattered across the dining table. There's more, Officer Kim continues. Maya is requesting that her family not visit her in jail because she's, quote, too ashamed to face them after what she tried to do to Sarah. She specifically wanted me to tell Jake that Sarah never deserved any of this, and that she hopes they can still have a beautiful wedding. Diego's face has gone completely pale. Sophia is crying quietly into her hands. Even Roberto looks shaken by this revelation from Maya herself. Officer Kim, Jake says, his voice hoarse, is Maya, is she okay mentally? She's being evaluated by our psychiatric team. But Mr. Rodriguez, your sister was lucid and coherent when she made these admissions. She understands the severity of what she did. After Officer Kim hangs up, the room remains silent for what feels like hours. Carmen slowly gathers her papers, her competent defense completely dismantled by Maya's own confession. Father Martinez is the first to speak. Sarah, Mija, I owe you an apology. We all do. One by one, Jake's family members approach me. Diego actually gets down on one knee, tears in his eyes as he begs forgiveness for the threatening text. Sophia hugs me so tightly I can barely breathe, whispering apologies in rapid Spanish. Even Roberto, who's never said more than hello to me in 3 years, shakes my hand solemnly and tells Jake he's lucky to have me. Carmen is the last holdout, standing by Patricia's dining table looking lost and defeated. Carmen, I say gently, walking over to her, you were protecting someone you love. I understand that. She looks up at me with tears in her eyes. Maya called me crying, and I believed her because I wanted to believe her. She's been like a daughter to me since she was born. She still is, Patricia says firmly. Maya is sick, but she's still family. We'll get her help, and we'll be here when she's ready to heal. Esperanza stands up slowly, using her cane for support. Christmas dinner, she announces in her commanding voice, will be at my house this year. And Sarah, you will sit at my right hand, where the daughters of this family belong. As Jake's family begins planning how to support Maya through her legal troubles while protecting their own healing, I realize something Maya never understood. Real families don't choose sides. They choose love, truth, and the courage to face difficult realities together. Maya's plan to destroy me actually brought me closer to the Rodriguez family than 3 years of Sunday dinners ever could.